Hey, what is up everyone? I'm Tiana here once again, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Klonoa, Moonlight Museum, or in the forms of Japan release of the game, Kazno Klonoa Moonlight Museum for the Bandai WonderSwan. So last time we have basically just went through the majority of World 5, and I'm gonna say that was actually the quickest run that we've ever sort of done in our Let's Play of it so far. So either way, today for this episode is the fact that this is going to be the grand finale of this game's Let's Play, and because of this though, we're going to be entering the final world in this game, which appears to be World EX, which actually stands for Extra Vision. And basically, unlike in any other worlds of the game, that we actually start things off with 6 levels from the start or something like that, this world, for some reason, gets like 5 levels to start off with, and if you're probably wondering where is the 6th and the final level in the game, you're probably wondering. Well, we'll jump right into the forms of Vision 1 right here, and I don't know what this world is actually called according to the forms of that particular Japanese translation, but I'm guessing that we're going to be ended up on the moon. So either way though, let's get to it with Vision EX-1, where we start off things normally about the fact that, as you can see, on the top portion of the screen, as you can see, we actually have a time system. And also, if you probably realize what's going on with that particular 0 from that particular right next to the time record, as well as the current time. Well, if you manage to utilize the actual wind bullets right here, that actually represents how much wind bullets you're using for the majority of the levels. So either way though, easily without doubt, this is one of the hardest worlds in the game, because as you can see, right from the start though, those spikes right down there, those instantly kills you. Wait a second, does this remind me of Mega Man? Where every time when Mega Man always attempts to actually die instantly whenever he just managed to go onto his spikes down below? It could be, yes, because as a result, yeah, this is going to be one of those tested patience kind of world. And because of this though, you have to rely on timing skills, as well as the forms of a lot of skills you have to able to put up with. Because otherwise, if you screw up at least once, then you have to restart the entire room again. Thankfully though, that the checkpoint system usually happens all the time whenever you enter the next room. So again, it's nothing like the forms of the original game, for that matter, that, you know, you're able to actually activate the clock until you're able to actually activate the actual checkpoints. So yeah, there's gonna be a lot of death situations here and there, but honestly, thankfully though, if you manage to try to select the second option on that pausing screen, that way you can actually just save your life. And because of this though, you don't have to worry about the forms of trying to lose lives continuously for the majority of the game. So anyway though, a few things I want to explain about this today, and that was the fact that recently, today's date is of course the 29th of October today, in this case in 2020. Originally, about the fact the matter is though, is the fact that originally this particular part, that it was supposed to be likely 2 separate parts in particular, but it turns out that this is going to be a full-length video, much like the forms of how it does in the majority of this Let's Play. I know it seems a little bit too long and too lengthy at the same time, because believe me, whenever we move on to the next few levels and such, basically there's going to be a lot of times that I'll have to do a multiple set of, you know, jump cuts if I somehow manage to mess up on certain segments of the level and stuff like that. So, but either way though, that's usually, relatively speaking, there's going to be a lot of times there's going to be a lot of jump cuts here and there. So, and originally though, is the fact that originally I was going to finish this Let's Play by the end of this month, October, or November, depending on how long this will take, but it turns out this will be ended until today. So because of this though, we really want to get this Let's Play done. I'm pretty sure that Mario and Luigi will able to get confused by this fact until whenever they get back into Mario Kart Double Dash and during at some point tomorrow, on the same day as when Pikmin 3 Deluxe is going to be releasing tomorrow. So, but either way though, we'll have to wait and see what happens until that time is about to come. So, Anywho though, a few things we want to explain about this actually is the fact that recently, during about a few days ago actually, or to be more specifically, 2 days ago specifically, I was gonna aim for that Dreamstone. I really want that Dreamstone so badly. But anyway though, but thankfully we're not that far from here I don't think, so, but I digress. Recently across the internet is the fact that, specifically into YouTube.com, basically it's the fact that most other gamers out there seem to able to got themselves the PlayStation 5 as well as the Xbox Series X very early. And as a result, whenever I managed to look up on the actual design of the actual PlayStation 5 console as well as the Xbox Series X, oh man, let's just say, for example, that the Xbox Series X might be a bit taller, but nothing compares to the forms of PlayStation 5 console, because, Jesus Christ, PlayStation 5 is so big, even way more bigger than any other consoles for this matter. Well, for the most current generation of consoles, like PlayStation 4, Xbox One, as well as the Wii U, and even the Nintendo Switch, and heck, even with the forms of, well, to be more specifically, a little bit on Xbox Series X. Although, to be fair though, it's because they moved on to the next generation of gaming console industries. So, that seems very obvious for the actual current next step forward in terms of, you know, gaming generations to become. So, but either way though, no, I didn't make it! Dang it, I'm gonna have to restart that, so, oh well, no big deal. Because thankfully, if I somehow managed to able to... Oh, that was close. Yeah, because if I somehow messed up my timing skills, or even jump timing skills or what have you, sometimes I'm gonna have to able to constantly pause the game and just try my best if I was gonna able to just, well, try this again properly. So, anywho, so let's go ahead and try this again, and hopefully we would be able to pass that. I'm pretty sure the hardest part about this level, though, is of course this section, because much like, extra vision from the likes of the original Klonoa, in this case Klonoa Daughter Phantomile, basically there's going to be a lot of times you have to do this kinds of stuff. However though, the biggest difference is this time, compared to the forms of this game, compared to the forms of how it does it in Klonoa Daughter Phantomile, there are about, let's just say 6 extra vision levels, and because of this though, there's going to be a lot of situations where we have to come across into a lot of mechanics involved. Like, for instance, that in the first level in World EX, in this case Extra Vision, there's going to be a lot of times you have to deal with a lot of precise timing when it comes to utilizing the wind bullet. And also because of this though, much like, as I said earlier, much like in Extra Vision in Klonoa Daughter Phantomile, there's going to be a lot of times you have to utilize the perfect, precise jumps in between those little particular enemies, as you can see, to able to utilize with double jumps, and also at the same time there's going to be a lot of death situations, like, you know, instant kill spikes, you know, very similar to the likes of Mega Man games. Well, to be more specifically, the classic Mega Man games, and also similar to the forms of the Mega Man X games here and there as well. In fact, maybe at some point next year, maybe we can able to do the classic Mega Man games on the Game Boy, so that way I would be able to actually just tackle those eventually. But however though, it's not going to be the entire marathon about them, sadly, just because, well, obviously we're still focusing on any other marathons, including the forms of, well, let's just say a few bits on Klonoa, and also same applies to, you know, the Mario Party games exponentially, specifically the Hudson Soft ones, because I can definitely see why most people seem to care about the Hudson Soft Mario Party games from the past, obviously. So anyways, there we go. That pretty much takes care of World EX1. Again, it does take a bit of a while to get used to with the actual timing and what have you, especially noticeable if you keep on missing those jumps completely. But regardless of such though, I think we actually did that pretty alright and such. So, anyways, let's move on to the next level, which is of course World EX2. In fact, between these two levels right here, those are the only 2 levels to able to feature a time challenge. So, hold on a moment. Okay, there we go. We actually did manage to set up the, once again, the vertical setup. In fact, this will be, well, not until when we get to the point until the 3rd level on this world. the third world in this, well, the third level of this, world EX world, it will be the final time we're gonna be seeing the actual vertical level positioning. So, but again, speaking of Mega Man, actually, eventually if we're able to decide to do, the Mega Man and, well, Rockman and Forte game on the Bandai Wonders one eventually next year, we will be able to eventually meet up with that particular vertical stages again, so... But for the meantime, though, that we're gonna have to focusing on Klonoa as it is, so either way, though, we'll just go ahead and deal with that. This level's not too bad. Thankfully, we don't have to worry about the instant death, spikes, to top it off. Although, we will eventually come across into that eventually until, let's just say, on level 4. So, we're able to actually just to get away with that, so... Anyway, though, and I think, fundamentally speaking, as I said this to you guys earlier, well, for Vision, EX-1 and Vision EX-2, those are the only two levels to able to feature not only the time system, but also the wind bullet count. So, yeah, I think I can definitely see how this little points itself going for right here, so... I suppose another thing I should probably explain about this too, is that, honestly, not much else to talk about, apart from the fact that, well, exponentially speaking, is the fact that I'm also able to pre-order, the next, 2 games, or the final 2 games before Christmas time, which there are obviously Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory on the PlayStation 4 specifically, but assuming if my PlayStation 4 is almost run out of memory, then I'm also able to actually go for the Switch version instead. Well, at least assuming, depending on that such, and, eventually, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, so that way I would be able to actually just realize for that such, so yeah, you probably get the idea of how this is going, so... getting these Dreamstones is kind of annoying because all you have to really do is that you have to be so specific with timing and what have you, because if you don't time your, wind bullet shots just right, then otherwise you won't be able to actually make it sometimes. But at least there are still 30 of them in total though, so at least I don't have to worry about this for the sake of time, but I digress. So, yeah, speaking of, in fact, let me just restart this room because I somehow ended up in, the actual pit of spikes down below. Although, controversially, as far as I've noticed, is that, well, if I... dang it. Oh. Okay, so at least thankfully I've been safe from there, unlike the ones and how it does in the previous level that, specifically, that, the actual long spikes will instantly kills you, but at least thankfully in this particular level, that, there are some small spikes, but thankfully those didn't kill you instantly, they just managed to give you lose a bit of a health, so, speaking of lost a life, well, there it is right there, but at least I got my extra life back, so, at least I got that I suppose, so... honestly guys, there's not much else I can do, usually just trying to able to talk about other things worth mentioning for, apart from the fact that, well, thankfully, for those of you who ever really want to be so desperately, for those of you who lived in America, that, thankfully though, specifically if you really desperately want to watch My Little Pony Pony Life, despite the fact that I'm actually find that show to be okay, but not the best either. But, apart from the fact that, exponentially speaking, is that recently, My Little Pony Pony Life, for those of you who lived in America, thankfully, it finally got its release date, which is now going to be releasing until November 7th in 2020. I know this is kind of strange because originally it was supposed to come out in summer, during this summer and this year, but sadly that's no longer the case because it was like a little bit of a delay between, you know, all kinds of stuff just because of that, you know, that stupid thing is happening in the world, but again, let's not talk about this at this point because, well, we don't feel like talking about it anymore because we're just gonna move on. We're just gonna move on because we're getting so sick of that stupid thing itself, I suppose. Oh yeah, talking of which though, actually, it's the fact that, speaking of My Little Pony stuff, My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, one of those episodes on that show, which is, the Ticketmaster in the ones in the Season 1, Episode 3, recently, that episode has been turning into a decade old now, which, originally that episode came out in, 29th of October 2010, which, Jeez, I can't even believe it's been time flying, doesn't it? But, either way, and, as far as I'm aware, it's the fact that eventually until likely for next, Thursdays, or, well, I would say next Thursdays in particular, because next Friday is gonna be like, 6th of November, if possible, which I think it sort of happens. And, for the majority of, every Thursday videos, is that, basically it's the fact that we will able to talk about more about, the 10th year anniversary of certain episodes of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Specifically, Season 1 variations, because, well, obviously, the beginning portion is already becoming 10 years old recently, and, eventually by the later dates, during, well, let's just say in 2020 and 2021 and beyond, well, not until when it gets to the point until 2029, which I don't know if we can able to do with 2029, if depending if YouTube will able to shut down completely, but we'll just see what happens until at some point in the future, but I digress. I suppose another thing I should probably explain about this too is that, well, originally I was gonna able to try to get the PlayStation 5 for this year, but unfortunately though, the actual stocking has actually got a lot of issues recently, because as far as I'm aware, Amazon doesn't even have that anymore, and I think Game might able to have it, but usually, relatively speaking, it's actually pretty pricey, though. However, though, here's the thing, though. I was originally trying to get the PlayStation 5 in day 1, or sometime in this year's Christmas, but I'll save that in the future. Specifically, if the next Kingdom Hearts game will be on the PlayStation 5, because eventually they're now on to Phase 2 of the actual series of Kingdom Hearts games exponentially. So, but, you know, you get the idea of how this goes. Oh, really? I have to start all over again. Hold on a second. Okay, I'm back, and as you can see, I've almost wasted for about a few minutes or so in the sake of this godforsaken Dreamstone for last. And what we're supposed to do, as far as you guys can clearly tell, rather than getting close to those enemies over there, just because that won't work, so instead, we have to stand right onto the edge there, and there you go. So, I think that's the only way you can able to do it properly if you're able to get that, you know, for that goddamn Dreamstone. But anyway, though, that's that done. And now let's move on to World EX3. And every time when if you complete the extra vision levels, as you can see right there, you actually get yourselves a tick, which actually represents you actually just managed to complete them. So, but yeah, as far as I'm aware, I did manage to spend almost 9 minutes on that particular level, which is insane to me because of that stupid Dreamstone for last. But I digress. So now let's move on to World EX3, where as you can tell from the start, this is the true final level to able to see the vertical perspective, because as far as I'm aware, until later on in EX4, as well as later on, it will be horizontal only. So either way though, this is the final time we're going to be seeing the vertical position. So, oh gosh, I think this level is going to be involved around speed, which, as far as I can know, is the fact that this is the reason why, is because this is all vertical. So, in this case, on the top portion, you'd be seeing that moving platform decides to shove over for that particular cube over there, or that block even, and that way you would be able to bypass through certain segments of the level. So, and it looks like, unfortunately, I'm going to be stuck in here, so, but luckily you can able to actually restart it by, you know, pausing it. Alright, hopefully we'll try this again. Hopefully we'll able to try to be super precise with this level, so, in fact, dang it, I just got stuck. In fact, there's no way you can able to actually jump out of it though, so because of that though, you always have to be forced to able to restart the room, and then you would able to do it properly, so. Alright, so let's go ahead and get that Dreamstone from there, toss it over towards over there, and, well, you have to be fast on this level though, if you decide to able to go for 100% completion of this level, so, but again, if you do not make it in time, well, otherwise you can able to restart it by simply using the pause menu, so, there we go, that's that section done. I think there are about a total of 3 sections of this particular level, besides the fact that it does take you to different rooms, so. But it looks like we're not doing too bad. Well, aside from the fact that with the first room, it took me a couple of tries. But either way though, this is going to be a test of patience, I'm telling you. And I screwed it up, so... oh well. But again, the thing is with World EX in this game, you really can't afford to get any mistakes. Because again, if you made any single mistakes, well, you have to restart the entire room again. But at least thankfully the checkpoint is always there to help you, so... in fact, relatively speaking, the only time you will die a lot is, of course, the actual spikes down below in the first level in World EX. And I think that's as far as I can think about it. So, anyways, let's go ahead and, ah, I was too slow! Ah. In fact, there was actually a second star right there, too. But thankfully, it's not that far from here, though, I don't think. So, I guess we'll try that again, so... in fact, it doesn't take me that long to actually just to go to there, so... anyway, so let's go ahead and just do this segment again, and hopefully we would be able to do it successfully, so... alright, there we go. Okay, so now we just need to just be fast on this part, and... oh, so close! In fact, we actually did manage to make it there in time, so there we go. Okay, here comes this last part, where basically we need to just rush, basically. And here's the only tricky part about this, is of course utilizing that particular dynamite-looking, well, a bomb-like enemy. So, and here's the thing though, we need to be so precise on this part, so... ah, dang it, I screwed it up! God dang it. But, hopefully this will be the second attempt on this room, so, but either way though, that doesn't usually bother me at this at all, so... right, so there we go, and looks like we're almost there, so hopefully we'll able to just grab this last dreamstone on this level, and place that over there, and be sure to hurry up, because otherwise, if you're too slow, that means you won't be able to get yourselves the, you know, the actual third and the final star. So, in fact, we actually ended off this level, and since this is the final vertical level, this means I don't have to worry about this, this entire process again. So, unless if we're able to do the Mega Man and base game on the Bandai WonderSwan until next year. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. So, anyways, let's move on to World EX4, which, as far as I'm aware, this is where the game starts to get a bit difficult, specifically tougher than you think. So as you can tell, we're actually going to be continuously running for this level, because otherwise, if these guys manage to able to block your path, and including the forms of those collectibles, specifically for those stars, well, you obviously won't able to get any much progressioning unless if your invincibility frames has been lacking, so... but either way though, hopefully I'll do this no problem, assuming if I don't die too many times, so... hopefully that seems the case, so, but either way though. Originally I was going to talk about my final thoughts of this game, but I think I should probably save that up until specifically if we get onto level 5, because otherwise I will able to actually mention about that, so. And yeah, prepare to able to actually hearing Klonoa's Yahoo! 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 every time whenever you're trying to able to do this world, so. Yeah, just to warn you guys about this, just because it'll just get a little bit more too much for you. So, anyway. Oh, goodness gracious me. In fact, that was actually really close for that part right there, so hopefully we would be able to survive this. I think, relatively speaking, is that when it comes to vertical levels and stuff like that, World 5 definitely has the most vertical levels for sure. Most notably with like 3 of these vertical stages after all, so... because for some reason it only has like 2 in this world, and only 1 in World 4, and same applies to World 3 as well, and same applies to World 1 as well. And World 2 only has like 2 of these vertical levels, so as far as I'm guessing that correctly, so... oh boy, some deadly spikes at this point right now, so yeah, we definitely need to avoid those, so... oh boy, there's gonna be a lot of emphasis on Ultimate Challenge, but you know, you get the idea of how this goes. So So yeah, aside from all that things I was trying to mentioning about this point, honestly, there's not much else to say. So, oh god, we need to be fast on this, because otherwise, if we don't make it there, then we have to restart the whole room. So, in fact, speaking of restarting this room, I think I need to reset this, because otherwise, I'm gonna wait until these little flying-looking, things itself. Ah, dang it, I just gotta screw it over. Hopefully, for the next attempt, hopefully we should be able to do this properly, so... Oh, really? I just got hit right there. Oh well, at least we got 45 extra lives, which again, this game is super generous when it comes to extra lives. Same applies to the original game as well, so... Anyway, let's try this again, and hopefully we would be able to pass this part in particular, so... And why don't I just delay my speed, and I think I might as well restart that, so... Whoops. I suppose another thing I should probably explain about this too is the fact that until eventually next week, that GoldenEye 007 remake for the Nintendo Wii, you know, with the one with Daniel Craig in it instead of Pierce Brosnan, it appears to be it'll be a decade old until eventually next week or so. Well, sort of depends, depending on the forms of the different regions of American release or the Japanese release, but usually we always talked about the UK's release, so... And eventually also is the fact that until on November, the same month, is that, well, Epic Mickey as well as Sonic Colors will also become a decade old, so... Jeez, why does time really does fly, doesn't it? Oh yeah, let's talk about more info about the forms of why I'm probably not going to be purchasing the PlayStation 5 anytime soon. Aside until eventually, if the Kingdom Hearts game will able to make its way to the PlayStation 5 consoles. But exponentially is because not only is because of the pricing, but it's also the fact that I might able to try to save my cash up until specifically if Nintendo decide to able to release or announce the another model of the Nintendo Switch, which appears to be Nintendo Switch Pro, according to rumors and such. And then that way I can able to actually order that, assuming that, thankfully, I can able to actually save my data from the actual save data cloud. So, but even then, though, that might be pretty useful, I have to say. So, because of that, though, I would be able to do that, assuming if the actual release date will be on its way. So, either way, though, that might be seems the case. So, anyways, let's go ahead and, oh, what did I just do that? I just got tricked! And yeah, this is what happens right here if you manage to let that... Yeah, there goes my another extra life, so... Oh boy. But at least, thankfully, we did manage to get all of those dream stones after all, so the ones we need to aim for right now is, of course, I just simply keep on getting hit like an idiot. In fact, because the invincibility frames doesn't last for very long, so... Yeah, just be sure to be very careful with that, so... Anyways, let's try this again, and hopefully for a much more successful attempt than the ones from before. Especially noticeable, I always don't want to get tricked by the actual appearances, by those little stupid stuff like this. But again, if you manage to let that particular thing decide to able to actually just in fact, no, okay, I need to grab that enemy right there, and use that for a double jump, and there we go. Whoo-wee. That's actually pretty darn tricky, I have to say. And here comes the last part. Okay. At least I got the actual hard health back, so at least I'm okay with that. So, dang it, we're not doing so well, aren't we? But then again, though, this will be the last world, so at least I don't have to worry about too much frustration, trial, and error, and there goes my another extra life. Some people seem to say that the actual final level in the game might actually be one of the hardest levels in the game, which we'll probably discuss more about until then. So, anyways, let's leave the level. And we are basically done with World EX or Vision EX-4. So, yeah, there we go. So we've only got about 60 more of those Dreamstones left until eventually we'll complete everything in terms of the whole game. So, but either way though, that might be being something more related to something. So, anyways, let's move on to Vision EX-5, where once again it's going to be horizontal stage, and, well, this is going to be some sort of a puzzle kind of level. So, And in fact, I have no idea why I'll just drop down right there, and because of that though, I'm lacking progressioning. Although I could use the actual fan to able to actually lead me back up, and then that way I would be able to actually just, well, just able to try that attempt again, but for whatever reason I just restarted for some reason, so... Anyways, we have ourselves the returning gimmick from the likes of World 5, or Vision World 5, is the, of course, corresponding number doors. And every time when you, again, entering a certain amount of doors where it has a number on it, well, you're able to actually entering the room the same thing as what the number shown. So, either way though, nothing too crazy about it, and especially noticeable is not that particularly complicated. Well, some people might find a bit of a complications and stuff. Oh yeah, this is what we're supposed to do. Basically, we need to place those dynamite explosive boxes in between two sides, as you can see right there. And we need to place that particular bomb-like enemy on the center. And we do need to activate those 3 switches at least all in one go. So, in fact, this reminds me of something related to Vision 6-2. Junior forms of Klonoa Daughter Phantom Isle, almost. Except the fact that, well, it doesn't have any boss battles or anything, so... In fact, that's pretty much I can usually just try to summarize my final thoughts of this game before we move on to the last level in the whole game. In fact, before we talk more about that, actually, there we go, there's some more Dreamstones that I desperately want to get. And it looks like we definitely need to activate that particular switch somehow, so it looks like that, well, before I do anything else, I need to make sure of that, well, there is that particular switch over there, in this case a time limit switch over there, but the fact of the matter is though, I don't think I can make it for this point, so hold on a second. Okay, successful attempt, as you can tell, so hopefully we would be able to, oh, why did I just do that? Oh well, we'll try again. So, hopefully we need to just do this, and we need to use that block for multiple reasons. For one, we need to activate that particular switch over there, so that way you're able to actually turn these blocks into different active parts, and use that block again, so that we need to just try to able to block the actual wind current, as you can see from the start. And let's see if we can able to place it slightly towards the edge right here, so that way I don't instantly try to able to fly up or anything. So, at least thankfully that seems to be the case. And hopefully we would be able to activate the switch and hurry up, because otherwise, at least thankfully it does manage to last for a long time compared to the forms of how it does it in, let's just say in Vision 5-4 or something. So, but either way though, that might seems a bit obvious for that sake of time, so... Anyways, we're now done with that particular room, and it looks like we can now able to do some more things on that for the sake of this room, and hopefully we would be able to pass it, so... But anyways, what's my final thoughts of, you know, Klonoa Moonlight Museum, despite the fact that it was my first time playing? Actually, I actually kinda enjoyed it, even though some people seem to say this is one of the black sheep of the series. Because there's actually multiple reasons why. It's because, well, first of all, this game doesn't have boss battles, which is pretty obvious because of the limitations of the handheld, or something like that, I don't know. Secondly, besides the music is nice to listen to, but some music can be pretty dull at times. Especially noticeable because, obviously, this is the limitations of the Bandai WonderSwan itself. Well, at least it doesn't bother me at all sometimes, but it's just that it's a bit too convenient, that is, so... And also another thing itself as well, to point things out, is that, well, the visuals do look really good for a Bandai WonderSwan game. However, though, unfortunately, it's completely lacking with color, which I kinda wish it has more color in that, aside from black and white. Although it's pretty obvious because it was actually back in the day that was. Now, I really wish that this game will actually have ourselves the color re-release of the game, but sadly it wasn't. So, but at least as far as I can tell, that this game does manage to get itself its 10th place in terms of the best-selling games of the Bandai WonderSwan itself, which I'm thinking I'm guessing that correctly. But then again, though, it has been a while since I actually did master research on this game. And also another thing, I'm actually not a big fan of challenging puzzles in this game. Although, just like in the original game, you do need to get a lot of emphasis on puzzle skills. Even though there are some puzzles that are pretty easy to solve, and some of these other puzzles that might be pretty tough. Which I will say that I'm not exactly a big fan of that. So, but all in all, I did find this game to be pretty good. Even though, despite the fact that there was a lack of boss battles or anything like that. Which, again, seems obvious because of the limitations of the handheld. Which, eventually until Klonoa Empire of Dreams for the Game Boy Advance, which is the next game we're going to be looking up on after this game has been done, until eventually next year, that is, that game does have boss battles. So either way though, that's how I can usually just try to describe about that. And then after we're done with Empire of Dreams, we can definitely move on to Lunati's Veil for the PlayStation 2. And possibly until next year, we can able to hit, or actually, until 2022 actually, we can probably take on new forms of the last Klonoa platformer game on our Klonoa Marathon of Let's Plays, which is of course, the Klonoa 2 Dream Champ Tournament, which it only came out in Japan and North America, but sadly for Europe, does not even happening, just because, well, I'm not exactly sure why, that Great Britain versions of Klonoa doesn't seem to have that much games. I think we've only got about 5 of them so far, unless if you want to count, well, Klonoa Beach Volleyball on the PlayStation, or Beach Volleyball game on the PlayStation 1 in 2002. But either way though, we'll talk more about those specific stuff until in the future. And it looks like I sort of messed this up, so hold on a moment. At least thankfully we can able to restart the room again, so at least it doesn't take me that long to able to figure this out. So, because I've already done that ever since the very beginning, so... Anyway though, also another thing, I don't know suppose if you guys are able to hear this, but holy crap, there's some ton of rain. Which I must admit that I do apologize for that particular rain background, as you can definitely hear on that background noise, even though it seems pretty obvious because it's so windy and stuff as well. And also, as you can see, we actually unlocked Extra Vision 6, which I think in order to unlock that, I'm pretty sure you need to complete 5 levels, and possibly we can able to actually just almost fill up the entire frame or something. But then again, I haven't really looked upon that much description for it in terms of this unlockable requirement. But either way though, hopefully this will be the last challenge of the whole game. And eventually, once we're done with this particular final level in the game, which is of course Vision EX-6, we can definitely able to actually finish up the whole everything about, well, Klonoa Moonlight Museum. So, but no, I think you should probably recommend this game, assuming if you're able to actually access to an emulator, or if you manage to play it physical-wise. Unfortunately though, the original physical copy of the game is really expensive, which I think is probably because it was on Japan exclusive and stuff like that. And also it's because of how the fact that, well, I don't know how well the Bandai want this one usually just manage to sell for. Or unless if you really want to go for that particular Swan Crystal, which is the most definition of the better 3 models of the Bandai Wonder Swan itself, because it actually contains brighter colors and even brightness and stuff like that, so... But I digress. So here we go folks, on to the final level in Klonoa Moonlight Museum, which is of course Vision EX-6. Some people seem to say this is one of the hardest levels of the game, which as long as you were able to actually follow the guidelines correctly, then you would do it okay enough. But for the first time players who ever experienced this level, it will take us about a lot of minutes, assuming if you're able to try to figure out the puzzle and stuff. So, but you know, you get the idea of how this goes. And plus, not to mention though, is the fact that certain rooms does take you a lot of time to work with, especially just trying to able to memorizing it each time. So, this first room is not too bad though, but the second room you do need to able to require of thinking. And because of that though, you need to able to deal with, let's just say, a cool trick to this game, which appears to be by the forms of, you know what that particular block double jump that you can able to obviously try to perform. However though, there's also a trick to this by simply utilizing the gust of wind, and then basically you can able to actually just to perform a double jump once you're in the actual gust of wind, and at the same time trying to able to utilize the wind bullet in one of those particular blocks. That way you would be able to make at the certain reach of specific segments as you saw in the second room. The third room is actually not too bad, it's just the fact that you have to be so precise with the actual blocks placement. The fourth room is actually not too shabby either, even though it does get pretty tricky sometimes. Especially you have to rely on, you know, a lot of timing requirement here. Like, sometimes you have to deal with the forms of a lot of fluttering all the time, and also same applies to, you know, activating certain switches. Because again, if you mess up, well, at least thankfully you don't die. Although the only time you will lose a life is of course getting hit by a lot of enemies, or specifically getting hit by a lot of hazards. But you know, you probably get the idea of how this is gonna turn out to be, so... Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to this next bit. Well, after that bit is done, we need to do some sort of like a bomb chain reaction here. So we need to place that bomb enemy over there, and I'm almost gonna get myself screwed over right there. But at least thankfully I did manage to reach onto that specific point there. And wait until next few seconds until that bomb detonates, and that way we can able to also continue on. And on to the next room, where basically that... I think we need to deactivate that switch over there, although I have no idea why just do that. But yeah, basically you need to activate that switch, and that way, because the reason why we need to do this is because if we just manage to double jump up there, and then first of all, before we do anything, we need to grab that extra life, even though it seems kind of worthless now, just because this is the final level in the whole game. And because, you know, with this particular greedy block over there, well, that's why we need to activate that switch from the start, because if you somehow activate the switch while the blocks is actually going to the opposite spots, then otherwise you won't be able to move it. So, and because we need to use him because of, again, blocking the gust of wind, and that way you would be able to get the cross key. And I'm guessing your key needs left now is of course the square key, which, well, we'll point things out whenever we get onto the later portions of this level, so... But then again though, this level is super long. Easily the most longest level in the whole game, just because you have to do it with a lot of segments on certain puzzles or anything, so... And also this is going to be the last level to be able to actually, not only if we're able to try to collect... Excuse me, I'm really sorry about this point, folks. Not only does it able to actually giving you the opportunities to able to get the final 3 stars, but also the final 30 of those crystals slash dream stones. And because of that though, we can able to fill up the whole entire final image. So yeah, that's how it goes basically. So oh yeah, I forgot to mention about my another thing about my final thoughts is that, oh really? I was too late. Hold on, let me try again. Another thing I would like to discuss upon about my final thoughts of the actual game. The gameplay itself is actually still the usual Klonoa game that I always attempt to enjoy. And despite there aren't any boss battles in this game, obviously because of the handheld's limitations. But apart from those side of things though, it's actually not too shabby. And also because this game has a lot of emphasis on puzzle solving, which to be expected with most Klonoa games nowadays, but either way though, it's not too bad, even though sometimes I'm not a big fan of certain puzzle segments in this game, so... But I digress. And the graphics do look, as I said before, do look pretty good for its time, despite with the lack of color, but at least it doesn't complain about it too much though. The soundtrack, well, it's alright, but I found it to be slightly weird and dull sometimes. And finally, the controls-wise, is actually pretty alright. Even though it does manage to shift things up a bit, assuming if depending on the levels and such, which, to be honest, it doesn't bother me at all with the controls and stuff like that. It still plays out very similar to the previous, Klonoa game, in this case, Klonoa Daughter Phantom Isle, which I honestly do manage to enjoy that. I will say, though, is that the story itself does look pretty simple and self-explanatory, but either way though, this the fact that is because obviously Klonoa and Hupo managed to able to investigate the actual museum itself and managed to come across into, all sorts of friends here and there, which, again, I must admit though for this point, guys, I did not know, any other characters that much, just because of, well, it's my first time playing for the game. I do know some of them, like, for instance, on Klonoa Daughter Phantom Isle, basically, because I already got, the Wii version as a remake back in the day, but every now and then in 2019, which is about 10 years later, that I've managed able to get the original PlayStation release, so for a much more of a cheaper price, despite the actual disc has been scratched up, so, well, nowhere near as bad as the forms of any other scratched up discs back in the day, just because I know for the fact that most retro games seem to able to get a lot of scratches these days now, especially noticeable when it's like higher price or something, so, but I digress. And yeah, as far as I can say, in terms of Klonoa Moonlight Museum, or Kazno Klonoa Moonlight Museum, for those who lived in Japan, I found this game to be alright. Not my favorite of the bunch, it was actually one of my least favorite games in the series. Well, at least in terms of a traditional platformer games as far as I'm concerned. But, all in all, not too bad, not too shabby either, but it's just that I found that okay. So, anyway though, so that's pretty much all I can usually think about my final thoughts of this game. So, I know it sounds a bit weird to saying this from the earliest point from the start, just because, well, I just really need to focusing on this final level in the game basically at this point now, so anyway, so let's go ahead and deal with this next room where I get the horrible feeling that, yeah, we do need to utilize that particular, you know, the wind current once again, so because otherwise that will lead us to the final key in the whole game, which is of course the square key, and obviously we need to designate those particular blocks, as you can see over there, and of course since I'm stuck here, so yeah, I have no idea why I do that. Okay, this is going to be the successful attempt on this run, so hopefully we need to figure this out carefully. So, what we meant to do here is that not only just do that, but we need to toss that block over there, and just trying to able to get that bomb-like enemy to just lead us to... Actually, let's drop in from here, and... oh gosh. Oh, okay. And make it explode just like so. And that way, you would able to actually do the rest. Just trying to take the cube, or that block of thingy over there, to there. And then just, well, for this block right there, just block it with the actual wind current. And that way, you can able to actually just to do so. And from here, you can able to actually make your way to the final key, which is of course the square key. So look at that. Speaking of PlayStation 5, here's the forms of the every single, well, shaped keys. The square key, the X key, the triangle key, and the circle key. So of course, it's pretty obvious it's the PlayStation reference. So despite the fact that this game was only exclusive to the actual WonderSwan handheld, which I would like to get one, but unfortunately it's pretty hard to get, especially noticeable with the actual Swan Crystal version, which of course is the better of the three, which because of the brighter screen and all that stuff, which I think most people should already know what I'm talking about, so... Alright, for this next room, I think we've only got about 3 more rooms to go until when this is over. So basically, in this part, we need to do some sort of like an enemy combo chain reaction or something, while at the same time, we need to get a lot of emphasis on the actual quicker time kind of thing, thanks to the forms of that particular time switch. So, in fact, relatively speaking, this is actually the final time we're going to be coming across into that particular... ah, dang it, I just got screwed over thanks to that particular stupid projectile. Anyways, let's try this again. Hopefully I should be able to succeed for this point. Okay, so that's not what we're supposed to do. Because otherwise, it won't reach out far enough, so... Alright, so let's go back up again, and... hopefully, just trying to able to do it successfully. So let's do that, and use him for as the advantage, and boom, there we go. And I think we've only got about 1 more star to go, which I think is going to be on the next room. So even then, though, as far as I'm guessing correctly, that it might be seems the case. So well, specifically right here. Well, actually, I think we've only got 3 rooms left. It's just this room and... Oh, thank you, Explosion, thank you for able to giving me that particular bounce height. Ah, I'm very pleased about that, actually. Ah, that's so good. Anyways, so now we're done with room. It's actually pretty simple and self-explanatory. And now we move on to the next room, which is a bit complicated, but thankfully this is the final puzzle room in the whole game. So basically we need to do some sort of thinking going on, and unfortunately I wasted a lot of, I wasted 1 life, so... Oh well, no big deal. Especially noticeable that we've almost at the end of this particular world, basically, so... And also the entire Let's Play itself as well, so anyway, let's go ahead and, is that what you're supposed to do here? I don't know. But then again, this is the final puzzle room of the whole game, so... Again, it might take me some bit of practice involved, so... But even then, because chances are there's gonna be a lot of times when this happens, so... Because originally I was expecting to able to actually end off this Let's Play at some point in September, but of course, because of Devi has managed to get onto Super Monkey Ball 2 since on that month, and because of that though, he just really wants to get that game going. So, anyways, hold on a second, guys. Alright, this is going to be a successful attempt on this puzzle room, and what we meant to do, place that cube or that block thing over to the edge of the switch, and activate that switch in the process, and utilize this particular bomb-like enemy and place it all the way over there, to make sure it doesn't go completely locked or completely shut, and toss the block over there, and then just toss it back to the left, and you would be able to, not to do that, but just trying to place the bomb-like enemy like so, and, well, you should probably be able to make it for this room, so... There we go, and thankfully we've got all 3 stars still, and we've only got the final 2 Dream Stones left. And here we are, folks, on to the final room in the whole game, which is probably the most toughest thing in the world. Which, all we need to do is basically, we need to make our way to the end. To do that though, we need to do some sort of like a double jump syndrome. And because of this though, we need to carry this bomb-like enemy towards at the very end of a level, while at the same time, we do need to look after it, because every time when he touches everything spiky, or just these guys right here, it instantly explodes. And because of this though, there's going to be a lot of emphasis on trial and error like such, so... But at least thankfully I still got 45 extra lives, so I think I should be okay with this, so... Anyways, so let's go ahead and carry it just like so. In fact, it's actually not that far from here though. Oh, really? I just got screwed over! Ah, this is kind of underwhelming. In fact, let me just kill myself. Oh boy. This is gonna take a lot of effort for this point, guys. Especially how... You know, there's going to be a lot of emphasis on trial and error, as I said earlier. In fact, son of a biscuit. Alright, successful attempt for the final time. Hopefully, it shouldn't give me that much trouble. Alright, there we go. The last part is quite hard. And, boom! There we go! The final level in the game is done! In fact, it was actually super long, too. And here's the actual award if you manage to gather all of the Dream Stones in World EX. It does look pretty nice though, seeing that Klonoa and Hyupo managed to solve that particular moon over there. So yeah, this seems very interesting. And yeah, that's how it goes basically, and that's how the ending goes. And after this particular scene is actually being done, and basically we get ourselves this one last message. Thank you for your Moonlight. Even though that was the only thing that is usually translates to English, so I have no idea why that Japanese doesn't seem to be able to translate that, so... But anyways, that concludes our Let's Play of Klonoa, Moonlight Museum, or in this case in Japan, Kazno Klonoa, Moonlight Museum. Hope you guys are able to actually enjoy this Let's Play. I know the amount of views of this Let's Play wasn't exactly as high compared to the forms of how it does it for recently for Mario Kart Double Dash, but regardless of such though, I did try my best to able to discuss on this though, so either way though, yeah. So this is me, Tiana, from the likes of the Maxi Toys. Speaking of next up, in terms of Klonoa's series of Let's Plays, next up is Empire of Dreams, so see you then. Bye.